All right. We're recording. So
Here we are.
here we are. Back on the Rising Above podcast with Tony Sarge. How are you doing?
Tony, pretty good. Tony Sargentopoulos. Nobody ever. Very few people ever referred to me as Tony Sargentopoulos. I get introduced as Tony Sarge or Sarge. I think there's like 6 or 7 people that call me Tony. It's you look at that last name, David, and
It's
you know
overwhelming.
it's overwhelming. It's almost it's intimidating. It's intimidating.
Yeah, your teachers must have had fun with that every year at the
They
beginning.
called me Sarge, Tony or Tony Sarge or Sarge. It was never Tony Sargentopoulos. Whenever a solicitor calls, I always have fun with it. People say I don't answer the phone. I always answer the phone. I love dealing with that. They just listening to them struggle through the name is hilarious in itself. But so Tony Sargentopoulos, Tony Sarge,
Coach Tony.
Coach Tony.
That's what
I've been called worse. I've been called a lot worse, actually. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back and to be recording with you. It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings us into the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is walking, which is probably one of the most simplistic things that you could possibly do as a human if you have legs that currently work.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's simplistic in nature. It's putting one foot in front of the other, as the late comedian George Carlin put it. We were just talking about that off air. That's a fantastic skit, by the way, folks. If you ever watch George Carlin or know who George Carlin is, look up Walking George Carlin and just laugh for about 10 minutes when he talks about walking. But it is simplistic in nature, Dave. But there's so much that goes into it. You could actually make it extremely complicated if you really wanted to, because of everything you could talk about when it comes to walking. And I don't think a lot of people realize how important walking is. Well, let's face it, it's something we do every day. Pick a day when's the last day you didn't walk? And again, we are talking about those who can walk. Yes, we do have people out there who do not have the use of their legs, so they can't. But when you're talking about this particular situation here, you're talking about people who are actually they have functioning legs and can actually move from point A to point B by using those legs. So the benefits are insane. Do you walk? Or are you a walker? I know you're a runner. Are you a walker?
Well, I would say the term runner very loosely. I haven't really ran all that much, but recently, walking not so much. As far as like any extracurricular other than working. I mean, obviously I'm on my feet all day. I work in a factory. But I don't really consider that walking, just because like you're not taking full steps, you're kind of sidestepping or walking backwards and pivoting in weird ways. So it's not really like walking, and it's not really walking in the way that we're going to be talking about today.
But it is walking, and I could tell you this because I know your line of work really well. I bet you if you ever used a pedometer and you followed how many steps you take a day, folks, anybody who's ever worked, not so much. I want to say if you've worked at Lansing Delta General Motors in Delta Township, right outside of Lansing, Michigan, when you get out of your car to go to your job, Dave, I would be. It's easy for me to say you walk 4 football fields to get to where you work. There's no doubt in my mind, at least 4 football fields from the time you leave your vehicle to the time you get to your job, let alone in a 8 to 9 to 10 hour day, the amount of steps you take. I would not be shocked if it's well over 12,000. On some days, maybe 15,000 steps in one day.
I'm at 10,050 right now.
And you work today. Today you already work.
Yes, I work today.
Yeah. And so there's no doubt in my mind. So you have that rule of 10,000 steps. By the way, that's just somebody making up it's propaganda. It's marketing. 10,000 steps a day, because that 10,000 steps gets you moving. It gets you up and it gets you moving, and it sets a goal. And when we set a goal and we go after that goal, you set a goal, it makes it easier to achieve because you're set on something. You have your sights set on that 10,000 steps. So somebody came up with that brilliant idea a long time ago. We'll talk about why it's not necessarily the amount of steps, but something else that is more beneficial when it comes to your overall health and well-being. But so at work, that counts. But we're not going to talk so much about all the extra steps we take during the day when we're just doing work around the house. Not that it doesn't count, are when we are at work, if you have a job that is physically demanding. Not so much sedentary. We could talk about that as well, though. What can you do if you have a job that's sedentary? But we're going to talk more about walking as an exercise, I think, today, and the benefits where you are completely focused on the act of walking, particularly outside in nature, where I think that's going to be extremely beneficial. I think the one thing that people need to understand first and foremost, before we even got into any of this, before we even get into any of this, walking is second nature to us. It is the very first thing that we want to do in our lives. Think about that. You're born, you're crawling. What do we want to do? What's the first thing you see a baby wanting to desperately do after usually 12 to 15 months, sometimes even 8 or 9 months? What do you think the first thing is you see them trying to do?
They're typically trying to pull themselves up
Right.
and walk.
Right. Because that's human nature. We're
Yeah.
bipedal creatures. We're meant to walk. We're meant to walk. And that starts from our hunter and gathering ancestors. You're meant to walk to get to wherever you need to get to because you have things you need to do. Back then it was hunt in order to survive. It was survival. Being able, we call them nomads, moving from one place to another. And so being bipedal creatures, we are set in our minds to get up and move from the earliest of ages before we're even a year old. And so people have to understand, walking is second nature. But I think because of that, I think we neglect trying to learn and understand why is it so beneficial to us, especially those of us who can't, or we don't have the kind of time you need to get into the gym. You don't have the kind of time to exercise for an hour every day, even though you don't need to do that. You can exercise easily 20 minutes a day, every other day, and get extreme benefits from that when we're talking about stress training, Dave, when we're talking about kettlebell, dumbbell, flex band, or any type of high intensity interval training for 20 minutes every other day. But walking plays such a big role in that particular schedule. And so I think that's what we want to talk about today are the benefits of walking when it comes to trying to achieve optimum health goals, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a specific time or I guess time of day that you would recommend people to walk?
That's a good question. I think the overall answer is you walk when you can based on your schedule. But in my personal opinion, based on the studies I've read and the videos I've watched, people that I truly trust, whether they're doctors, whether they're kinesiologists and they study movement, whether they are professional trainers, whatever that may be, and everything I've looked at and everything I've researched, two of the most important times to walk. Second place, what comes in at number 2? Right when you get up in the morning. Immediately upon rising. Some people will say, why? It's really simple. When you wake up in the morning, the very first thing, what are we? Stiff. We haven't moved. Hopefully for 6 to 8 hours at the least, right?
Yeah.
Meaning sleep, and that's a different show. You haven't moved. You've been sedentary. You've been in a deep sleep, we're hoping. And when you wake up, your body needs to move. Active stretching, dynamic movement, followed by a nice 15 to 30-minute walk in the morning, which should be preceded by a nice tall glass of warm water with pink Himalayan salt in it, maybe even add a little lemon juice to it. Not lemon juice, actual lemon squeezed juice into the water.
Is there a reason why you recommend the pink Himalayan salt?
Electrolytes.
Because I follow Gary Brecka, and one thing he talks
Mm.
about is Celtic salt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sea salt, Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt, clean salts, not the lady with the umbrella on the Morton's bottle. That's what you call bleached salt. That is table salt, and that is a no-no. We're talking about the good stuff, the clean stuff. Your body is most likely on its way to being dehydrated early in the morning. You haven't been drinking any water,
Yeah.
and you need to replenish also the electrolytes that your body has lost overnight: potassium, magnesium, sodium. And so that is a great way to replenish your body first thing in the morning. You're
Yeah.
not going to eat a real big meal right away. Go ahead and have that nice tall glass of pink Himalayan salt water, Celtic salt water. Then go ahead and do some dynamic warming up, get moving, get out there and get a 15 to 30-minute walk in. Absolutely my number 2 best time as far as I'm concerned. Number 1, there could be no better time than walking immediately following dinner, late afternoon, early evening on a daily basis. And so, this is where a lot of people are going to say, well, what is it? What is your reasoning behind that? Dave, what you tell me, what do so many people, and I'm going to keep this isn't just about the United States of America, but we're on the clock here, right? When it comes to our health in this country, we're not ranked in the top 3 countries when it comes to health. And so what is the one thing as Americans, what do we love to do after we eat a nice big Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, we like to sit back and watch the Lions play.
Yeah.
And take a nap.
Well, it depends. If the Lions are playing the Green Bay Packers, I'm all in. Dave, I apologize. You just lost about 100 viewers. But the point being is this: we are made to eat and get up and move and utilize the energy we just took in. You do not sit after you eat. That is not what we're supposed to do as bipedal creatures, as human beings. We are made to eat and move. And so because of that, dinner being what is usually considered one of your larger meals of the day and your last meal of the day in many cases, it is so important to be able to eat that meal. And then when your pancreas releases the insulin into your body and it carries those cells, it carries that glucose to the cells of your body, which is supposed to be utilized for energy purposes. And whatever it doesn't utilize as energy, it's going to store in your body as, what do you think?
It's fat.
Fat. Utilize as much of that as for energy purposes. Your body wants to store it for emergency purposes in case you don't eat for a while. Yeah. That's just naturally what your body does. Your body thinks it's a defense mechanism. You're calling your body all kind of names because you don't believe the same thing your body does. So you want to utilize that energy immediately. So your job, once you increase your insulin levels because of the amount of food you may have just eaten for dinner, you want to get out there and utilize that energy. And there's no better way to do it than a nice brisk, clean 15 to 30-minute walk at a nice fast pace, not a stroll.
Is there a certain pace, like miles per hour, or?
I bet you a lot of people have heard 4 miles per hour. That's a thing. 4 miles per hour will get you probably a sub 15-minute mile. And that's fantastic. That's a fantastic. Your neighbors might think you look a little deranged as you're walking, like you have to be somewhere in a hurry, but you don't want to run.
We used to make fun of those people that would power walk. So we called them the power walk.
Yes. Yeah.
Or like the mall walkers.
Right. And if you watch them, they're moving.
They're cruising.
Get out of their way. And the reason why they are is because they've probably read those studies about understanding what happens in that situation when you are moving at a rapid pace and allowing your body there's so many different types of, when it comes to scientific research, we always talk about following the science and understanding what your body is doing when you're moving at that pace. And this is just another benefit. But and I want to get into that in a second. But moving at that pace, if you're going to go for a stroll, I'm not going to tell you that that's a bad thing, because if you're going on a 45-minute 1 mile walk, at least you're moving.
Yeah.
You don't, if you're not moving it, you're losing it. All right. That's why they always say to people who may have begun, to experience some type of arthritis in their joints, whether it's in their hands, in their knees, in their hips. Most doctors will tell you, don't sit down and just sit down on it all day and let it get worse and worse. Get up and move.
What's interesting about you saying that is I have we were talking before, tendonitis in both of my knees.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where like doing like lifting, like squatting heavy weight, or even just like barbell, like a simple like lightweight barbell squat is very, very painful. But on Monday I did the Murph workout with a friend.
Okay.
And you know what the Murph workout is, right? Like it's a
Yes.
mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 bodyweight squats, and then another mile run.
Oh,
Well,
I didn't know there was another mile run after all of that.
yeah, it's at the end.
Okay.
And then you
Okay.
do it all with a weighted vest typically.
Mm.
And one thing that so when I started doing the bodyweight squats, I got about 150 in, and then my knees just felt fine. They felt
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. And what do you attribute that to?
Moving them. I
Yeah.
think I just have to move them more.
Yeah. And listen, we're not saying that if you have a tremendous amount of arthritic buildup in your knees, arthritis in your knees,
Yeah, don't
we're not
overdo
saying you're going to do 150 bodyweight squats and be cured. That's not what he's saying there.
No,
He's saying he had some discomfort in his knees, and the movement pattern helped him after a long period of time, after so many bodyweight squats.
But it also didn't get rid of it either. I still have the pain. It just went
Yeah.
away for that day.
I got you. And that's a thing. That absolutely is a thing. Movement, again, the stiffness, the soreness, movement. One of the best ways to get rid of the soreness in your muscles after a workout is to stretch.
Yep.
It is a thing, as I always tell people. Meaning, if you look at the research, it will show you that you can absolutely get rid of that soreness by doing a fantastic stretch right after the workout. Usually day one, and then day two could be even worse when we talk about delayed onset muscle soreness.
Yep.
And so moving is better than not moving at all. It'll trump that every time. Sorry if I offended anybody with that word.
Trump.
Yes. As if you can detect the sarcasm, please let me know. So that is definitely one thing when it comes to walking and the benefits of walking after dinner. That is truly one of the best times you can elevate your metabolism, Dave. And for everybody listening, up to 40, sometimes 50% for a period of 12 hours after you've eaten, or after you've walked, I should say, after you've walked, when you are doing it at a relatively brisk pace, 4 miles an hour, for that sub 15 minute mile. And hey, if you could do it for 3 straight miles and get under 45 minutes, there's not one thing you're going to tell me that's going to be not a benefit if you're a healthy individual.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who is suffering greatly from osteoporosis, if you're somebody who has knee replacements, hip replacements, I don't recommend that. Now, if you're moving and you don't feel any pain and it feels good, I recommend that highly. What we're saying here, Dave, is go on the pain scale from 1 to 10. If you're at a sub 3 and you can move like that, keep doing it. You start getting into 6, 7, 8, obviously you have to monitor that situation. Right. Go talk to your doctor, see a specialist. Make sure that this brisk walk that you're doing isn't causing more orthopedic stress on your body.
Right.
Yeah. So for sure.
Oh yeah. So you've been walking after dinner every night, correct?
I try to every night. If I had if I had to be very transparent, I would say 4 to 5 days a week. I try to get that 15-minute mile in if I walked earlier as well.
What is the benefits? What are some of the benefits that you've realized personally for yourself?
I notice the weight loss around my waist. I
Really?
notice it. Oh yeah. I notice it. I notice the energy levels. I notice I don't have any pain. I don't have any pain at all.
Wow.
So and there's other things that I add in my toolbox to, energy levels and maintaining my weight and gaining lean muscle mass and
Steroids.
yeah, yeah. Never. No, there's a story about that though for me when I was and we'll do this in a different show. But I think I was 18 years old when I had that opportunity and I turned it down. So one smart decision I made at age 18. I think I was like I was riding on that wave of 50% of my decisions were smart back then. Um, I wasn't real good at it. I knew everything though. I knew everything.
You always do when
But
you're 18.
what's that?
You always do when you're 18.
Yeah. So I didn't go down that road. But no, all those other tools from different types of strength training to all the other therapeutic modalities when it comes to heat and cold and the things you could do with that when it comes to yoga, when it comes to dynamic range of motion, when it comes to kettlebell training, when it comes to flexibility, when it comes to mobility training, which mobility I do every day. Every single day I do a 10-minute mobility movement early in the morning. Um, I'm not getting any younger, and I want to be able to get up and move and enjoy my grandkids someday. So I'm going to keep on doing my mobility workout. And again, that's another show we can talk about for sure.
How, if you don't mind me asking, Sarge, how old are you?
I will be. So if anybody's watching this show immediately upon release, I'll be turning 55 July 1st of 2025.
So send your donations to Sarge.
I could put my Venmo in the description of this podcast. I promise you, all proceeds will go directly to me.
But my point that I wanted to get to is you're in your 50s and you
Yeah.
move like you're in your 20s.
I do. I don't know. I can't. It's been a minute. It's been 26 years since I was in my 20s, and I can't remember having. I can't remember how mobile I was, or I remember being at my strongest. That was my powerlifting era, and I can remember being at my strongest. I don't know how mobile I actually was then as compared to now, but I can tell you that about 6 years ago when I started having lower back pain, and started doing a lot more in-depth research on understanding a lot more than just strength training, understanding more about mobility and about dynamic range of motion and about flexibility and stability, coordination, balance. And I started doing things to help increase all of the above. That was when I felt like I at least got back to how I felt in my 20s without doing any of that. I wish I'd have done that back then. But as you can recall, that was my era of knowing everything. So I didn't want to hear it from anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, yeah, no, I've watched you like over the years and I'm like, man, this guy's like, he moves around like you're flexible, you're quick, you're not slow at all. And, compared to like a lot of other people that are in their 50s, I'm like, you're doing really well.
It is. It's strange. So back in the back, we're going off the rails. We're coming back, folks. Give me a second,
We're doing
David.
what does Trump call the
I don't know. There's twice we said his name now. We're gonna really irritate some people here. I don't know what he says there. I have no idea. He says
he calls it the weave.
Oh, the weave.
Yeah, just doing the weave.
His hair. His hair. But So while we're doing the weave, quote unquote, real quick, Dave, if you were born in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you looked at a picture of somebody who was in their 50s, they looked like they were probably somewhere between 75 and 85 years old
Yeah.
today. It's really bizarre in that to say that, but it's true. For some reason, we look younger today. Gen X, I don't know what it is about us, but we look younger today than back then.
Why,
And
why do you
the,
think that is?
I do think it is. One thing is because of how we do pay attention a lot more to um, all the things that have been offered to us in terms of technology, understanding that it's more than just watching Jane Fonda's workout on TV and seeing all the people that were let me give you one example. I remember seeing people doing Jane Fonda's workout. This is a true story, folks, with cigarettes in their mouth. I'm not lying to you. True story. Doing Denise Austin, Jane Fonda, Richard Simmons. If you know who I'm talking about out there, then you're one of my people.
I don't
And
know you, but I endorse that.
yeah, with cigarettes in their mouth. And so when you see that, it's like, okay, but it's amazing to me. Um, you look at cigarettes today, you don't see too many people that smoke anymore.
No, I mean, but people are switching over to the cigarette vape things.
Yeah, you were taking a different bad decision making process in our.
I was leaving the gym one day after being in the sauna with this guy. We were in the sauna for like 20 minutes and he had just gotten done lifting too. And as we're walking out, we're not even out of the gym. He has a electric cigarette in his hand that he's puffing on.
Yeah,
I was like, what are we doing?
it's just, I mean, you might as well drink a 2 liter bottle I was going to say Pepsi and pop at the same time. 2 liter bottle of Pepsi on your way out the door. I mean, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. You took one step forward and two steps back just now when you do that. But I think because of our ability to grab a hold of information today, I think there's more and more people understanding the therapeutic modalities. I think they're understanding more of all the little fitness quirks, all the little things you can do on a regular basis. I think we're understanding nutrition a lot more.
Yeah,
I think we're understanding supplementation a lot more. And I think when you put all that together, I think that we're making less bad decisions than we used to. I think we're not even close to where we need to be. But that might be one of the reasons why we don't look the age we are anymore as opposed to 40 years ago. And that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was actually just having this conversation with a coworker of mine. When you thought of somebody when you were younger, like in their like 30s was considered middle age. Like if you were like 35, 36, that's considered middle age.
Yeah.
But now if you're 35, 36, you're almost 25.
I completely agree. I know that a lot of times people will say, 40 or 50 is the new 40. And people get mad at that. No, you're 50. Just own up to it. Quit trying to. And they're not saying the person's not actually 50 years old. From a metabolic health standpoint, though, their body is basically 40 years old. And
Yeah.
that's what they're saying. That's what
Right.
they're saying there. So it's definitely something that is a thing today. And I credit that to people's ability, again, to be able to search out and seek information that is valuable to them in order to at least try to help themselves out from a metabolic health standpoint. And I think it's working little by little. I think there's a couple things, this all started in the late 70s, and that's a whole other show. And I'd like to have some guests on for that show where we could talk about what happened when it comes to the government, when it comes to cereal companies, a particular one in general, when it comes to pop, What's that?
Kellogg.
Oh, maybe. And, oh, maybe. And a pop company, a soda for those of you who do not refer to it as pop, soda company. And the
Soda pop.
marketing, yeah, the marketing scam, the scheme that they put together in order to make millions and billions of dollars and put our own health in risk, put the American person's health in risk by no fault of ours, because we believed what they said. And boy, did they lie. There's not even any way to sugarcoat it. They just flat out lied.
Well, they paid scientists to lie.
Oh, really? Oh, no, not scientists. Not scientists, David. Why would science? They're the most brilliant minds on the face of the earth, according to some people. Scientists would never do that. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to that.
Yeah, the sugar industry has been corrupt from the very beginning.
It's amazing, truly amazing. And if we're lying, explain to me why we're in the situation we're in from a metabolic health standpoint now in this country.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, how are you going to explain since 1976 what has happened in terms of so many different diseases increasing? Listen, 1.6 million people will die from cancer, not COVID, cancer this year and next year and the year after that. And again, that's a different show. I'm not even talking about heart disease. I'm not even talking about the rise in dementia and Alzheimer's and the cognitive diseases that have embraced our country.
Do you think do you think a lot of that has to do with the quality of food that we're getting with like preservatives and like pesticides and stuff like that?
That's 100% true. That's not even that's an easy question to answer. 100% true. And again, as what do we call it? Weaving. We're weaving.
We're doing the weave. Yeah, we're
doing
gone
the weave.
way off walking.
Yeah. but we'll get back on walking now because people are waiting for the next best benefit, right? We talk about we mentioned osteoporosis earlier. You cannot reverse osteoporosis. Anybody, folks, if someone ever comes up to you and says, listen, I found a company and they have a new drug out that can reverse osteoporosis, immediately kick them in the knees and run in the other direction. They literally are trying to pull a fast one. You don't have to really kick them in the knees. I feel like I just said that, David, and we're going to see something on YouTube where someone comes up to somebody and this knee kicking thing starts, and I'm going to get blamed for that.
Tony told me to do it.
Yeah, Tony Sargentopoulos. When it comes to walking, it's just the right amount of stress on your body, just the right amount of load, should I say, on your body to help strengthen your bones, to help reduce the percentages of getting osteoporosis. Not reversing osteoporosis, of getting osteoporosis or slowing down osteoporosis.
By how much does it do that?
I have seen studies where it can help do that by up to as much as 20%.
Wow.
So, and obviously there's a lot of factors that go into that. How often are you walking?
Yeah.
Are you walking hills? Are you walking flat ground? Are you more indoor or outdoor? Are you walking for 15 minutes a day? Are you walking for 45 minutes a day? What is your workout schedule when it comes to walking? So obviously somebody who walks 15 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the percentages are going to be lower as opposed to somebody who 7 days a week walks for a half an hour in the morning because they can, their schedule allows it, and a half an hour after dinner.
So for something like osteoporosis, what would be better, low impact or a higher impact?
So first and foremost, I say this all the time. You need to get with your doctor. You need to tell your doctor, he or she, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. Go in there armed with information. It's easy to find any, defined reputable sources to talk about walking. This is what I saw. This is what I want to get to. This is what it does for osteoporosis. We know what my situation is. Do you think this is doable? They're going to either tell you yes or no, and you're either going to accept that answer, get a second opinion, ask to see a specialist, a bone specialist, an orthopedic specialist, where they can give you a second opinion. It's all up to you at that point. It's whatever direction you want to go. I would definitely do that first. If you're somebody who is at the later stages of osteoporosis and your bones are extremely brittle, I don't recommend high impact walking. I do recommend a workout regimen where you're getting up and moving, whether it's with a walker, a cane, assisted, whether it's with the physical therapist, whatever it may be, whether it's standing up and sitting down in a nice, comfortable chair, standing up and sitting down. You got to keep moving. You have to keep moving, or whatever it is that you have, or however far along you are, is going to double in terms of how much time it's going to take to get that much worse.
Yeah.
So it really does depend on where you're at in those stages.
No, absolutely. And it's honestly like that for any like bone or muscle eating disease. If you don't use it, it just you lose it right away.
Right away.
Your body just eats itself essentially.
Yeah. Once atrophy sets in, it truly is something that there are certain types of atrophy, muscular atrophy, if not a disease, but simply by being a sedentary individual who doesn't work on building lean muscle tissue. And as we know, as you get older, you lose lean muscle tissue, and there's only several ways to maintain or gain it. And so you can reverse atrophy in that process, but then there's also diseases. Right. I mean, we all know when it comes to Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, which is, man, is that just a horrible disease? I've actually seen it. I've actually physically seen it with two people now, and we see it on social media all the time. Someone either knows someone who had it anymore, or you've seen it. You've seen it, and it is mind-blowing to see what that disease can do to the appearance of an individual. It's horrible.
Yeah.
There's really nothing you can do about that.
Yep. Yeah, muscular dystrophy is another one.
Yeah. MS and it's multiple sclerosis. These are diseases that we've been fighting for a cure forever, and at this point in time, we don't have that cure. It always baffles me. It always baffles me how we fight these wars on all these diseases, and we can't figure it out. We can't figure it out. We can land on the moon. Well, allegedly.
I was gonna say there's some people that would say we didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of.
What do you think of that one, Sarge? Do you think we landed on the moon?
I think we landed on the moon. I mean, yeah, I really do. But it is fun to watch some of the conspiracy theories. These people really get into it, man. But I'm sorry, I think we landed on the moon. I really do. I have faith in Neil Armstrong. I think he landed on the moon. I really do. Kudos to Neil. But that's not even for another podcast. I guess we could do that in another podcast, but I don't know where we're going to insert that one.
I plan on having a friend from work on, and we talk a lot about conspiracy theories at work, and he wants to talk about stuff like that. So at some point, that'll be a topic of interest.
Maybe we could have somebody from NASA. No, trust me. I tried to have somebody from NASA on my podcast one time that I used to do. Wow. What we had to do. And after 4 months of back and forth, it just wasn't going to happen. They do not really care for their, for lack of a better way of saying it, employees. This gentleman is a brilliant scientific mind. And so I say that jokingly when I say employees, but those who work for NASA, they are under a tight-lipped lock and key. And I didn't even want to talk to him about NASA. I wanted to talk to him about overcoming all the things he had to in order to reach his goals with his degree from the University of Purdue, and how he was able to, rising above, right? And didn't want to even talk about NASA, but they turned him down when he went to them and proposed what I asked him to propose, and they said no.
If you want to know what it takes to be an astronaut, you should just interview Katy Perry.
Walking, the benefits of walking. We could talk about that any day. I'm sorry, but you want to talk about anyway. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, David. If you think that was some special tear-jerking emotional moment in this country's history, I don't know. I God bless you. I mean, I just have nothing else to say about that.
I just feel like it just takes away from the people that actually strived hard. They went to college, they became pilots, they've spent decades trying to achieve this goal, and then in an instant, Katy Perry's called an astronaut.
Katy Perry and the other 4, 5, whatever. Hey, listen, I'm just a guy sitting in my kitchen talking to you about walking. What do I know? What do I know about landing on the moon? That's what probably half the people will say after they watch this. Who's that guy talking about? Katy Perry. She had 2 number 1 singles and landed on whatever she landed on. She didn't land on anything. It was like taking a trip to the mall. I mean, it wasn't, I don't, whatever. They didn't even go into space.
No, they just broke the atmosphere.
Yeah. They weren't even to outer space. They just broke the atmosphere. Hey, listen. I'll tell you what. There had to be a rush there, right? That's got to be a rush. I mean, for sure.
It's got to be one of the biggest adrenaline rushes for sure.
Yeah. But they didn't go into outer space. And hey, listen, if they're happy, if they're excited about it, then I'm not here to break that excitement. And they could care less what I'm talking about. I can tell you, that right now. So we talk about walking as we weave. We're weaving. And we'll weave again. You know we will. We should call this the ADD segment, where we cannot stay on track to save our lives. When you talk about, we talk about bone. What's that?
The whole SpongeBob thing, 2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. Long story short, too late. You talk about bone density when we talk about our metabolic health as far, you would talk about weight loss. Let's talk about that one next, because that's probably the one everyone's most concerned with. Weight loss is actually not the most important one. It's not even probably in the top 3, but here it is at number 3. And I'm going to tell you, weight loss is a byproduct of walking because of all the other things that are going on. When you're walking faster and you're increasing your metabolic rate for up to 12 hours, like we talked about, when you're increasing blood flow, and this is another one. We're going to put 2 in together here. When you walk faster, the reason why I like to see that a 4 mile an hour pace, sub 15-minute mile, is because you increase your blood flow through your body. When you increase your blood flowing through your body to all the organs, everywhere the blood goes in your body from head to toe, it's carrying oxygen and it's carrying nutrients to your body. The faster the blood is flowing, the more oxygen, the more nutrients going to the tissues of your body, going to the organs of your body, your heart. You get your heart pumping faster. The more the heart pumps faster, the more oxygen, the more nutrients that are going to the tissues of your body, to the organs of your body. And that's supplying them with the oxygen and the nutrients to help you from a metabolic standpoint become healthier and healthier over longer and longer periods of time. So that is what we're more concerned about with. What is a byproduct of that? Weight loss. Weight loss. You're moving faster. You're using more energy. You're burning more calories. Calories in versus calories out. That's a thing. But a calorie is not a calorie, in my opinion. That's a different show.
Source of energy.
What's that?
It's like a source of energy. It's
a source of energy. But some people look at it like it's an object that you could put in your pocket. A calorie is not a tangible asset. It's not something you can hold on to and get rid of when you want to. I'll put it to you this way, David, as we weave. When you look at calories, I'm just going to say this and we're going to move back into walking. If I had a brownie with some vanilla icing on top and it was 450 calories and I had 4-ounce chicken breast and that chicken breast was cooked in olive oil, extra virgin olive oil with a little bit of garlic salt and oregano on it, baked at 425 degrees for 30 minutes. And I took that chicken breast at 450 calories and I took that brownie at 450 calories. 450 calories and 450 calories, ladies and gentlemen. But a calorie in the brownie is not a calorie in the chicken breast.
Yeah.
If you keep eating those brownies or you keep eating chicken breast, you're going to get two different results. Yep. So I don't care if you ate the same amount of calories in that situation. One is going to spike your insulin levels through the roof and going to be stored as sugar and then as fat for emergency purposes later on. The other one is going to be used as energy and protein to provide your muscle with what it needs in order to grow and sustain. So I don't want to hear a calorie is a calorie. No, it's not. But as we did weave for a second. When it comes to understanding the oxygen levels and the nutrient levels, David, with blood flow into the tissues and the organs of your body, it is absolutely necessity to understand that is more important than the weight loss, because although weight loss is a thing and it's a good thing for so many, it is not. It's the byproduct. Don't focus on the weight loss. Focus on your overall health first. Listen, I see skinny people all over the place that are extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
So you have to watch that. But there was a study. If we want to talk about studies, we want to talk about the science, I'll tell you about a study. It comes from a university that I don't want to say the name. I'll say this, and you know who I'm talking about up there in that area, in the air. I'm an Ohio State Buckeye. That's all I needed to say. So this university, I will say Michigan State, it's not that far from you, and you don't care for them either. Although I don't think you care for us. But as I get back on track, this particular university did a pretty good study, Dave, and it was about, I think at this point in time, I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. They took in a sample of about 200 and folks, I may be off on this number here, but I believe it was 250 people. It was a relatively small sample size, 250 people. And from what I understand, all 250 people were morbidly obese. So when you talk about your body mass index, you talk about it being relatively high. These people were off the charts, relatively high. All of them weighing well over 350 to 400 pounds. I don't know what their heights were, and I don't remember how many were men, and I don't remember how many were women. I do remember that each one of them were morbidly obese, according to clinical studies. The study went on for 6 to 8 months. They put them on a walking workout program, Dave, that got more and more intense as time went on. Obviously, somebody who's been sedentary that long, who has a very sedentary lifestyle, doesn't do anything in terms of sit at an office desk and that's about it, and do their thing as far as bringing in their income, doing their job, going and sitting and watching a movie. This is what they did. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary for anything for metabolic health purposes at all. So you start them off slow. Each one of them lost at least 100 pounds in that 6 to 8 months. No weight training, no strength training, walking on a particular 7-day-a-week program that got extremely intense as you got closer to the 8th month. So if those of you want to know about walking, there you go. Keep this in mind. When you are a certain weight, losing weight is easier. If you ever watch The Biggest Loser, David, I mean, I don't even think that show's on anymore, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
Remember how heavy the individuals were when they came in?
Yeah.
If you watch the show, which I did because I was inspired by it, even though I didn't care for what I found out they were doing with these people to help them to lose the weight because they needed to.
Were they giving them drugs?
Not so much giving them drugs, but they were doing a lot of unhealthy things to help them lose weight faster.
Like what?
Uh, uh basically starving at some points.
Okay.
Um, and basically taking their training to ridiculous heights in order to lose so much weight. I don't know if supplementation was involved to help lose weight, but they started losing weight at an unhealthy pace. The show had a time limit.
Yeah.
So there was only so much time, and there's more that goes into that story that I can't remember, but it was one of the reasons, if I'm not mistaken, why Bob Harper and Jillian Michaels walked away.
Yeah.
Because
We should do a topic on that. That'd be interesting.
yeah, because they got tired of when the show got close to the end and those people weren't where they needed them to be, they would do unhealthy things to make them lose the weight faster.
Yeah.
So you can be in awe by the end of the show. By the way, I read several different articles where over 80% of those contestants gain all the weight back.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
And because it wasn't sustainable the way they were put through the grind like that, rather than a lifestyle of fitness and eating nutrition, slowly but surely getting to where you need to be so
Yeah.
it's more sustainable. They put them through the grind in one of those, fads, one of those do this for, excuse me, do this for so much time and watch what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I doubt that they put too much effort into making it a lifestyle and a focus on a lifestyle, whereas it's just something they're going through like a boot camp.
Because what was the goal at the end?
Right, money.
Money, right?
I've personally witnessed it with a friend of mine who lost a bunch of weight. That I trained him, and he lost over 100 pounds, and then stopped training and gained it all back plus some. And
I believe you told me about that gentleman before.
yeah, it's truly sad, but it's really what it boils down to is not having a lifestyle of health and fitness and nutrition.
You go into these diets as we weave. You go into these diets, and these could be full shows that we could weave in those shows too, probably. We'll probably talk about the ketogenic diet in a show and talk about walking in between. But you get on those. Speaking of the ketogenic diet, I'm not saying it's not beneficial, and I'm not saying it hasn't done wonders for people, but some people get so crazy with it, and they've never done any type of just learning how to eat properly lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
That they go crazy with it. It's not sustainable. And then they do a 180 in the
I
opposite direction.
like cookies and hamburgers and fries.
Yeah, I like pizza. So I could do a dirty, they call it dirty keto. And that's where you do add a little more carbohydrate here and there. Not so much a cheat day, but cheat hours.
Right.
In a certain day, but don't say that in front of the ketogenic cult.
I tend to not really like many diets anyways. I like to just eat as healthy as I can most of the time. And then when I want to eat bad, I eat bad. Like if I want to go get a sub or something, I'll eat a sub. But most of the time I just eat healthy.
That's because you change it into an eating lifestyle where you realize I can't eat a sub 6 days a week.
Right.
I can't have 2 donuts with my coffee every morning. And that's a good example because, a lot of times people, they go to work, right? Yep. And they're drinking their coffee in the morning and they're like, I have my morning donut with my coffee. I sometimes have 2 donuts with my coffee every morning.
A honey bun.
That's where we go south in a hurry.
Yeah.
Especially when you live around a quality dairy up there in Lansing, Michigan. I'm coming back up there June of this year. And if you don't think that I'm walking out of there with a dozen quality dairy donuts, you got to be crazy.
I'm going to have donuts in the studio when we record, and you're going to have to eat them on camera.
I don't know if I can do it. It depends. I remember, Dave, listen, I remember that, when we were at General Motors Lansing Delta, you're still there. I was there for 5 years, almost to the day. I remember somebody would be late, ladies and gentlemen, and so they had to bring in quality dairy donuts. Some people brought in Dunkin' Donuts, and they were kind of like,
Get out of here.
That was like blasphemy. Like, what would you do that for? Quality dairies all around us, and you're bringing this Dunkin' cheapskate. And so I remember one time having 2 donuts. I was sick as a dog because my body's not used to eating 2 big, gigantic steroid donuts like that
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Talk
Let
about an
alone,
insulin spike.
yeah, folks, I'm telling you, it's a different donut. It's a different kind of donut. But so, it's just you learning that, yeah, on Sunday I have my coffee with my donut, not on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I take Saturday off.
Right.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, eating lifestyle better than going into a complete crazy eating fad.
I would also kind of, to get back on topic, would say that's the same thing as far as, I mean, obviously working out, but with walking, that would almost have to become part of your lifestyle where you eat dinner and you just go for a walk, or you wake
It,
up in the morning and you go for a walk.
think of any habit that you have, any habit. Let's go with good habits. Any good habit that you have. It did not start off as a habit. It started off as, I guess I'll try this. I guess I'll do 5 minutes of mobility training in the morning and up it to 10 eventually. I really don't feel like doing this. Then you do it, you start feeling better, and you're like, this is working out. Then you go to 10 minutes. Then you go to 12 minutes and you get into this 12-minute mobility routine, upper and lower body, every morning. You start realizing your range of motion, your flexibility. There's no more pain over here because I'm not tight in my hamstrings. There's no more. You start realizing all this stuff, David, and it no longer becomes this obligation. It becomes an opportunity.
Yeah.
And once it becomes an opportunity, it's no longer a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's just something I do every day. I do that every day. And if people could understand that you need to get on the journey rather than take the overnight pill, you'd be in so much better shape. Win the battles before you win the war. That's what I
Yeah.
always tell people. Win the battles before you win the war. I can't make it sound any easier than that. Don't go and say, I'm going to do this 20-minute mobility training day one. Do 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. This is pretty easy. I'm going to go to 7 minutes. I'm going to go to 10 minutes. 12 minutes is really all you need, in my opinion. And then the next thing you know, you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I don't even think about it when I get up. I just do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember, like, when I first started working out, I would think, man, I got to go work out. Like, it was something that I kind of dreaded. Like, I didn't really want to. Now it's something that I look forward to every single day. If I don't work out, I'm like, man, how can I go work out? I want to go do something. Like, I want to do something physical. I just have a earning for it. Like, I just want to do it and I enjoy doing it. It's part of like my daily routine. If I don't do it, then I don't feel normal.
Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. You actually get through a day and don't do it, and you're irritated.
Yeah. It affects your mood
It
tremendously.
affects your mood because it's something you wanted to do. You just have to be careful in certain situations where you don't say, I'm going to do it double the next day because you think that's going to make up for it. You just chalk it up to not doing it that day. You get right back on your saddle and you keep going.
Yep.
And that's the same with walking. That's the same with walking. If you could do it 7 days a week, 15 minutes a day, that's great. That's fantastic. If you could do it 5 days a week, 30 minutes a day, that's fantastic. If you could do it 2 days a week for an hour, well, what good is that? That's 2 days a week for 1 hour that you didn't do it before. That's what that is. And so don't look at the days you're not doing it. Look at it like, well, there's 2 hours a week I'm walking. I wasn't walking at all before.
Right.
I mean, excuse me. That's very important.
I'm definitely really interested in because I don't walk after dinner right now. But I really want to, because you just mentioned earlier in the podcast that it cut down on a lot of your like midsection. And I don't have like a lot of like midsection fat, but I have a little bit. And I'm like, I've been wanting to cut that out. I don't do a whole lot of cardio. I weight lift all the time. I do a little bit of cardio every now and then,
Mhm.
but I'm interested to know how the walking will benefit me. Now, I think probably starting tonight, I'm going to try that.
So let me give you another reason why it will help when it comes to weight loss being the byproduct, right? And let me say this also real quick. The reason why the midsection the midsection is one of the first things the body targets when it comes to fat loss.
Insulin.
Yeah. And so that's a whole different show. And we're not going to weave there. But
Sure.
I do want to talk about another reason why you lose weight. And that's because of how walking can help to reduce A1C levels. And those who don't know what A1C levels are, those are your sugar levels. That's when you have insulin spikes in your body, when you eat foods that are extremely high glycemic, when high glycemic loads. White bread is probably the easiest one to go to when it comes to that. Whey protein, and we talked about this in a protein show already,
Yep.
highly glycemic, but there's a lot of benefits there too. And there's a lot of things you can do to utilize that energy. And we talked about that in that show. But when it comes to things that are highly glycemic, obviously, any of your simple sugars, your foods like your potato chips, your cake, your ice cream, your brownies, your candy, those are going to be extremely high glycemic.
Yep.
And your A1C levels are going through the roof. I already in my head am seeing people say, oh, so if I eat a piece of cake and then I go on a 15-minute walk every day, I can eat a piece of cake every day. Folks, let me tell you something. You can eat a piece of cake and then go on a journey. And if you go for 2 or 3 miles at 100 miles an hour, you might be able to burn that piece of cake off. And you can do it every day. And you can look skinny because you're burning that cake off. You're tired. Your feet are killing you because you have to walk 50 miles every day to burn that off. You're also ruining your metabolic health
Yeah.
completely because there's no nutritious value. You've heard this before, David, and I'm sure everybody else has. Empty calories.
Yep.
And so there's no beneficial value in any of that caloric intake at all. So that you understand that. But when we understand how our A1C levels raise up in that particular fashion, there's a thing, David, the muscles in our legs, we have glucose receptors. And basically what we do when we're walking is we allow those receptors to take care of business and help to channel that sugar that we just ate right at dinner time and channel it through those glucose receptors in our legs and channel it as energy in order for our walk to be effective as we produce that energy walking at 4 miles per hour for 15 to 20 to a half an hour. And so that is another big reason why I say walk. And you know what? So some people might be saying, well, just after dinner, pick a meal, any meal that is a bigger meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. If you can't walk after dinner, do it after lunch. If you can't walk after lunch, do it after breakfast. Most people can't walk after breakfast if they're still in the workforce. But, it's a thing. So it's after you eat a big meal, get out there and walk. Make it a thing. Make it a habit. Make it a good habit on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited to try it out. I have the perfect ability to be able to do that as we have a indoor track at the place that I work out at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect.
Well, I tell you this too.
If it's raining, then I can walk outside too.
Yeah, if it's drizzling, who cares? Walking outside is extremely important. Actually, here we are. Here's another benefit. Walking outside, so many different research studies will show this. Folks, if you don't believe me, look it up. There are study after study after study. There are studies upon studies that will point out the purpose of walking in nature. Nature is extremely beneficial to us in so many different ways. Some people will say, David, well, is it because of the sunlight? That's one of the reasons. Get your vitamin D3 while you're out there walking. but understanding that nature helps us. It's therapeutic in so many different ways. Have you ever heard of forest bathing? Forest bathing.
No.
So forest bathing, no, ladies and gentlemen, you don't take off all your clothes in the middle of the woods. I don't recommend it. Don't say I told you to do it when the cops come. I am telling you, forest bathing is actually taking in nature, walking through the park, walking in your neighborhood, the trees, the birds, the sun, the sounds of nature. Being out in nature, Dave, is extremely beneficial. One of the biggest reasons is cognitively speaking. When it comes to our cognitive health, the functioning of our brain, walking in nature is extremely beneficial. And there have been, I don't know how many studies I have seen on this particular concept when it comes to forest bathing. Walking outside. We were meant as creatures to walk outside. That's what we were meant to do, not sit on our couch all day. When it comes to memory loss, when it comes to attention span, it's amazing how much more receptive we are to information immediately after a walk. Proven studies. Actually, the one of them that I read is from that university again. And it just dawned on me that was one of them that I read from that particular university. It can, and here's that 40 to 50% percentile again. It can help increase your brain functioning from up to by 40 to 50% after a walk in nature. So if you're getting ready to take a big test, if you're getting ready to do a podcast, you want to retain all that information in your head, Dave, go for a quick 15-minute, 4-mile-an-hour walk out in beautiful Lansing area, and then come back into the studio and get ready to absolutely kill it on the mic, because it is a thing. It actually helps when it comes to memory, when it comes to being able to clearly think things through, brain fog, all those things that we're dealing with from a mindset, which is, in my opinion, the most important strength you can have in your body, mental strength. And that's just another benefit of walking. One of what we've mentioned today, approximately 5.
Yeah.
I think that's basically all I have on walking today. A lot of people think, well, how in the world did you talk so long about walking? Well, we got off track. We weaved, but as you can see, if you just cut out all the weaving and just look at everything we talked about with walking, I think I'm actually even missing a few things. And you know why? Because I'm not remembering. And you know why? I didn't walk. I didn't walk right before the podcast. I should have walked.
You should have walked.
I should have walked.
Well, so there's not much more to add to this, correct?
There isn't. And if there is, I guarantee you we'll weave it in another episode.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for doing the podcast again, Coach Tony. This was fun. I got to go get my walk in. I got to eat dinner and then go walk.
That's a good idea for you. Ladies and gentlemen out there in rising above podcast land, it's a good thing for you as well. Get out there, get 15 minutes in, bring the stopwatch, try to figure out where your mile markers are at. Try and get there in a certain amount of time. Figure out where your half-mile marker is. Why? Because you have to walk a half mile there, which means you have to walk a half a mile back. There's your mile. Figure that out, add to it, win the battles before you win the war. David, thank you for having me on again today. I enjoyed doing this as a co-host. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Sarge.